Hi, I'm Amanda Davis, and we're in Think Up Studios today, and we are talking about science and specifically how the 9 critical thinking traits fit into that subject. So today we're here with LaDonna, and she's actually one of our educators, but her title here is actually Lead Product Manager, and she's worked in a lot of our products, but one specifically is our science products. So before we get started, I just want to make sure that our audience knows, how do people study science?
Science is a branch of knowledge, and it looks at observations, and it uses very detailed descriptions. It uses experimental investigations to study the world around us. Now, the history of science takes us to a point where scientists, yes, they studied the world around them, but they also investigated things that were much smaller than what the unaided eye could see. They looked up into the sky and saw things in the universe that were so far away that, we needed instruments to see that. So science has looked at the world at many different levels, and it's just that base of knowledge that encompasses all of science.
Well, as you're describing this, I do see science as something that's an experience, something bigger than outside the classroom. And, how do you see students learning about science and experiencing science by using the 9 critical thinking traits, or even just critical thinking in general?
Critical thinking is kind of one of those basis, fundamental ideas that you have to have in order to study science. Scientists, they have to be inquisitive. They have to want to go and seek answers to questions that there are no answers to, and to be available and to be ready to take that risk and to make mistakes and failures, but then to just keep trying and trying. Thomas Edison is a good example. There were more than 1,000 light bulbs before he got the one with the right filament to have that incandescent light bulb. So it's about just knowing that you have to keep trying. And that's what our 9 traits of critical thinking are, giving all kinds of options of ways to think about something in different ways. And that is really what science requires.
Yeah. When you were saying the story about Edison, it makes me think of just that critical thinking trait of strive. I think for myself, could I have done it that many times before I found out a way to do it? And it shows me in science, you just have to have that trait. You have to strive through problems and not see where you get to a dead end that it's done, which I think is such a great skill for our kids to have. But I can think of that one, but maybe you can help me with a few more. Let's just say collaborate. How to use collaboration. That's one of the 9 critical thinking traits. How do you use that in science? Why is that an important skill?
Well, collaboration is sometimes misunderstood. Collaboration is not just working with a group of people, another person. It's really working together for a better outcome. And so that's why collaboration is an important piece in science, is that we have to collaborate with scientists maybe in the same room to gather information, but also they may need to gather information or take information from another scientist and integrate it together. So the end result is something better than just one person could come up with. And Think Up Science products, we really try to hone in on that skill of working together, and to maybe if they're designing an experiment or they're working with others, we do multiple iterations of something so they can get feedback and improve, So that's what we want to see, is that the end result of working together improves that outcome and they get a better result.
Okay, that was a great explanation, so I'm going to hit you with another one. How about examine? How is that used in science?
Examine is it's kind of multifold in science. So examine, you want to look and analyze something very deeply. And so that's just by nature what scientists do. But another part of it in science is we have to know what tools to use in order to get those results. So we need to know what all the tools are available to, say, measure volume. You could use a beaker, a test tube, you could use a graduated cylinder, all different types of tools, but you need to know which one to use to get the result that we're looking at. So examine has many levels, so it is to look close and get some details and information, but for us it goes a step further. There's materials and tools that you need to use to actually do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's why I liked science the most, is all the tools that I got to use in my classroom when I was a student. Last one, how about inquire? How to use that skill specifically in science?
So inquire looks at someone seeking out information that inspires their learning and piques their curiosity. Well, that's the definition of what a scientist does. A scientist looks for what excites them. And then they're going to try to figure out, well, let me ask a question about it. They're going to design an experiment, they're going to gather results. But sometimes the results they get, it's not a conclusion that they draw, it's actually more questions that they answer. And that's what inquire is all about, is continuing to ask questions, gather more information, and that's how we know so much about the world around us and the world beyond, is because scientists continue from history all the way through current day, and in the future they're going to continue to keep asking questions.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here at the studio. I think we can see very clearly that science itself lends itself to the 9 critical thinking traits. So thank you so much, LaDonna, and thanks for joining us.